There are many areas where China and Australia share common interests. There are many issues on which China and Australia have common grounds. And these are the areas we have been cooperating, and we should continue to cooperate to the interests of both sides. Areas like economic development, improvement of people's livelihood, environmental protection, regional cooperation, climate change, combating cross-border crimes, free trade, multilateralism, among others. At the same time, as the old saying goes, no two leaves are alike. China and Australia, we are different in many aspects, in history, in culture, in religion, in development stage, and in political system. Different as we are, there are no areas where we have fundamental conflicts of interest. So it is very important for both sides to take constructive approach towards these differences. Try to narrow down differences through communication and dialogues in a spirit of mutual respect. The least thing we should do is to allow these differences to obstruct, even hijack the overall relationship and cooperation between our two countries. The world is diversified and the political system is taking different forms in different countries. Whether a certain country has chosen a good political system or not, it's for the people of that country to have the say. As we say it in China, only the wearer of the shoes knows whether the shoes fit or not. The key question is whether the system could help its people to live a better life. The system of socialism with Chinese characteristics under the leadership of the Chinese Communist Party has achieved remarkable success. It fits China, it's good for China, and it has won the heartfelt support of 1.4 billion Chinese people. Here are some figures. After 40 years of reform and opening up from the year 1978 to the year 2018, China's economy has grown 225-fold. Per capita GDP has increased from $155 in the year 1978 to $80,800 in the year 2018. Per capita income has grown 22.8-fold. And China has contributed over 30% of the world's economic growth, and it has become the world's leading power of economic development. China has successfully built up a modestly prosperous society in all respects. Chinese people have been lifted out of absolute poverty in a complete way. The efficiency of China's whole process, people's democracy, speaks for itself. It took China decades to go through the development journey that took developed countries centuries to complete. Australia is a diversified country in many aspects, and diversity is an important contributor to Australia's success. The past 5 decades have shown that China and Australia, we can be friends, we can be partners, in spite of our differences in political system and development stage. The fourth point, to develop an inclusive relationship based on the interests of our own two peoples. As independent sovereign states, China and Australia each has its own national interests. Each also conducts exchanges with other countries in the world and builds various partnerships. China and Australia share mutual interests with each other, while at the same time, each shares mutual interests with other partners as well. One's interests are sometimes the same or similar with the others, but sometimes not, which is pretty normal. China respects Australia's normal exchanges and cooperation with other countries. China has no intention to interfere in or undermine Australia's relations with a third party. At the same time, it is our belief that China and Australia should make independent judgments and decisions to develop our own bilateral relations based on the interests of the people of China and the people of Australia, free from interference from a third party. 50 years ago, Prime Minister Whitman overcame tremendous difficulties and challenges, made the brave decision to establish diplomatic relations between Australia and China. In the initiation of cooperation with China and the engagement with Asia have proven that Australia is fully capable of playing its role independently in international affairs. As an important major country in Asia-Pacific, as a founding member of APEC, Australia has its unique geographical and cultural advantages. Australia could play an even bigger role to promote exchanges and cooperation between the East and the West, and could make even greater contribution to the prosperity and stability of the Asia-Pacific region. Fifthly, and the last point, to promote mutual understanding between our two peoples, to lay down a solid foundation of mutual friendship. Amity between our peoples holds the key to sound relations between our two countries. Over the past 50 years, there have been established more than 100 pairs of sister provinces, sister states, and sister cities between China and Australia. Before COVID-19 pandemic, there were nearly 200 flights between our two countries every week, carrying nearly 2 million passengers visiting each other every year. And China has been Australia's largest source of international students for 7 consecutive years since 2015. And in addition to this, there are more than 1.2 million overseas Chinese working and living in different parts of Australia, making outstanding contribution to Australia's economic, social, and multicultural prosperity, and at the same time, to the friendship, exchange, and cooperation between our two countries. Everyone is entitled to his own views, but unarguably, the policy adopted and the information released by the government do have direct influence on the attitudes of the public. If the government of our two countries adopt positive policies and positive measures towards each other, protect and encourage the friendship between our two peoples, it will be highly conducive to a healthy and stable development of our bilateral relationship. Media has a special role to play in the forming of public opinion. Here in MPC, I'm talking to the media, but allow me to be frank. At least this is my feeling, how I feel about it since I came here about 7 months ago. That here in this country, the media coverage on China are mostly not positive, or to be straightforward, are mostly negative. It is simply difficult to find out news about China that is positive. We do have, but it's pretty low, disproportionately low. No country is perfect. No country is perfect. However, a coverage on a country that is always in a negative perspective is nowhere near to telling the truth about that country. That's how I feel about it. And the coverage on China of such kind is, on many occasions, many times misleading. It's also harming the friendship between our two peoples. So it's important to take an objective perspective on China. Tell stories about China in all dimensions. That's going to be helpful for the Australian public to know what China truly is. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this about our bilateral relations. Well, the Taiwan question has received much attention recently. On August 2nd, the U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited China's Taiwan region. This is a serious violation of the One China principle and violation of the provisions of the three China-U.S. joint communiques. It has a severe impact on the political foundation of China-U.S. relations and seriously infringes upon China's sovereignty and territorial integrity. It gravely undermines peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait and sends a seriously wrong signal to the separatist forces for the so-called Taiwan independence. Speaker Pelosi insisted on visiting Taiwan region in disregard of China's strong opposition, making it clear to the world it was the U.S. side who first took provocative actions to change and undermine the status quo. And it is the U.S. side that should and must take full responsibility for the escalation of tensions in the Taiwan Strait. China is compelled to take countermeasures to safeguard its national sovereignty and territorial integrity, which is legitimate and justified. Australia government has reaffirmed on several occasions its commitment to the One China principle. As is clearly stated in the 1972 joint communique between China and Australia. Here I quote, "The Australian government recognizes the government of the People's Republic of China as the sole legal government of China, acknowledges the position of the Chinese government that Taiwan is a province of the People's Republic of China," end quote. The One China principle is a solemn commitment by successive Australian governments, either it's Liberal or Labor, for the past 5 decades. This principle should be strictly abided by and fully honored. It should not be misinterpreted or compromised in practice. We hope that Australian side could take China-Australia relations with serious attitude. Take the One China principle seriously. Handle the Taiwan question with caution, but without discount. Ladies and gentlemen, the coming December 22nd, we mark the 50th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between China and Australia. I think it's perfect time for our two countries to review the past, look into the future, take concrete actions in a spirit of mutual respect and mutual benefit, strive together to bring China-Australia comprehensive strategic partnership back on the right track. It's going to be in the interest of our two countries and our two peoples. Thank you for your presence and thank you for your patience. Thank you.